Hi, I'm Marilyn. I'm here in Bangalore at SAP TechEd Live. And it's my pleasure to be here, a kind of a family reunion of sorts, with Lakshman, who was my partner in crime last year when we did an event called Embracing Inclusion, Driving Innovation, and had a design thinking workshop. Hester, who I've had a world tour with now. We work together in both Las Vegas and Madrid with Hester Hilbrecht, who is working with the technology innovation platform teams and has been doing design thinking in the context of InnoJams around the world. And with my new family member, Slim, Siang Chan Lim, who is coming from the States after also having had an experience of working with us during both the InnoJam and a special evening event that we had, which we called Practicing Empathy, or the role of empathy in design thinking, but for us more practicing empathy to derive insights for novel solutions. So each of you has a very specific skill set, and we're sort of coming together here in Bangalore with your varied skills and expertise, and going to create an evening event tonight, actually, at the Fortune Select Trinity Hotel. And I think that in another few hours we're going to be experiencing together something quite special. But before we talk more about that, I wanted to ask you, Lucky, you showed Slim and myself some work that you'd been doing here with rural children and other work that you've been doing in the InnoJam context around design thinking.
Thanks, Merlin. We had earlier, a few months back, we had our colleagues assembled together. It's on a voluntary basis. We wanted to do some work on the social side. So we picked up a school nearby Bangalore, a rural school, and met with the headmaster and with the children between the grades 7 to 9. We got them together and we wanted to address some issues that are surrounded by within the villages, within their families and the villages around them. And there have been several challenges that have been addressed upon by different groups of children. One of them is very interesting. Is a challenge around the dental hygiene. And we did, as a team, we had went through the workshops for 7 Saturdays across 7 weeks, and 8th Saturday happened to be the final presentations. We had around 6 challenges and 6 different solutions from 6 teams of rural children. And it's very interesting to see how the rural children are having so much of stamina, at the same time enthusiasm, which otherwise in the cities children do. Make complaints about being tired in these kind of long workshops. You can see so much of energy and so much of excitement amongst the children. At the same time, they're able to work along with us, and we also have been working along with them in terms of providing them the right kind of inputs, so that they evoke the right kind of empathy with their users, which means the community, and then getting the right kind of insights, and therefore the ideation and the solution. One of them is pretty interesting one, as I said earlier, is to do something around the dental hygiene. They came across some of the children who are pretty lazy, who don't want to brush their teeth, and how do you make these children, despite their laziness, attract them to...
It's universal.
It is. So, to clean their teeth. So, it was very interesting, as I said, that they came with some very novel idea that they had some few organic ingredients from the plants and the herbs put together. It was a very nice smelling and nice tasting compound, and they made them, and they also tested it out amongst the children, and it worked very well. The way it works is that you need to just chew it up, and then it cleans the whole mouth along with the teeth. And the children have the option either to spit it out or they can swallow, because the content is pretty much healthy. So
So in
It
this
is,
case,
yeah,
design thinking isn't just about
yeah,
technology. It
it
could
is,
also be about finding a novel solution
yeah,
for a human-centric
Mm.
problem.
yeah.
So in human-centric design, on the other hand, we can also embed this kind of thinking into software design. And maybe you'll
Yeah.
tell a little bit about your experience here in Bangalore, too, with how the teams worked after 6 hours of intensive
Mm.
design thinking methodology to
Yeah.
produce some solutions.
Yeah. So first of all, the InnoJam. After you said we had the marathon world tour together, here in Bangalore, we had the most participants of all. We had 140 participants, which
Oh,
was
wow.
amazing compared to the last ones. And the people here are so engaged, and I was surprised, and I was very happy about seeing the engagement and their willingness to learn, because
Hmm.
it's definitely different to the people in Europe and US, and that was first of all my biggest like about the InnoJam here, and they were also very happy about learning the design thinking methodologies and how they can apply it to create solutions that are desirable and have a meaning for the people they're designing it for. And
I wouldn't say categorically everybody, though. I mean, there's some people who wanted to code, code, code,
oh
and
yes, oh yes, oh yes, definitely. So of course, when you come there, people come with different expectations, right? And some of the people informed themselves. They know, okay, this year we do it differently. We do it with 6 hours of design thinking. And other people, they don't know about it. They just thought, okay,
Mm.
I've attended InnoJam last year, and last year it was all about coding. So we go to the event, we code our application, and that's it. And so some of them might be a little bit disappointed at the beginning when I come in there and tell them, okay, don't use the laptops yet. We have to do something else for 6 hours. And then they're like, ugh. And but when I start to explain them why we do it, it's for me, it's the biggest, not insight, but I'm happy to see how people become open for it and are willing to really find out what the people want, because that's the difference about design thinking. We don't want to just code something without knowing what the other people we're designing it for wants. So that's very, very mind changing, especially for developers.
and tying this idea of insight to empathy and empathic conversation. I know, Slim, that you weren't at our event here, but you are going to be helping us run an event
Sure.
this evening, and we're taking a deep dive into that topic of empathy. Empathy, technology, what's the connection?
Well, I mean, it's really interesting to hear both Lucky and Hester talk about really two of the fundamental things about empathic conversation. The first one that Lucky mentioned is when you're having an empathic conversation and you're applying that to design, you're not designing for someone. You're designing it with someone. It's a huge, huge difference. And typically, traditionally, people who don't understand design have this idea of a designer who's like, got cool glasses on, smoking pipe or something and making stuff and, ooh, you should have it. Just doesn't work that way. And the second thing that Hester mentioned was really interesting is the idea of curiosity. And it's easy to sort of brush that off as like, oh yeah, children, curiosity, blah, blah, blah. But when you really break curiosity down into its parts, what you get is two things. One of them is courage. The other is humility. And why is that? Because people think like courage, humility sounds like really pompous ideas. But it's really simple, because courage simply means you trust that there's something that you can learn when you engage with somebody you don't know. And humility means you proactively trust that you don't know what that is yet. And when you have those wonderful two qualities come together, you have a natural desire to learn from anything and everything that you encounter. And the impression I'm getting is the crowd we have here at SAP Tech Ed in Bangalore has that ingredients. And that's a tremendous opportunity for somebody like me to come in and engage with them, because it's not that I'm giving a talk, it's I'm learning from them as I'm giving the talk. And I think that's a really interesting environment that I'm invited to join in. So
And
thank you so much.
so much agree that there's so much learning to be done. I wonder if culture plays a role in how certain ideas are resonating with people.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear from your perspective, Lucky, how this concept of an empathic conversation and empathy, how do you imagine or think this will be accepted or listened to this evening?
Yeah. Marilyn, I think empathy is one of the key factors in the whole design process, as Slim said. And in all our design thinking projects, we ensure or we ask the teams to do their observation and interviews along with the empathy component along with them. Because if you don't expose that or you don't experience in the process, in the interviewing process or the observation process, the empathy itself, then you will not be able to derive the right insights. And you will not be able to get the right responses from the users, whomever you are talking to. So therefore, that's one of the fundamental factors for any kind of a design thinking exercises. And say, for example, even in our enterprise situation, enterprise software situations, quite often, we know that many of our users or the people, say, who are sitting in the materials department or in the finance department and so on and so forth, but the actual users are the people who are making some level of report, some level of transactions on the system. So there are several challenges these people face through, and unless we have empathy towards the way they behave, the way they work, there will be no way that you will be able to create a nice kind of a user experience for them. So we need to wear that cap of empathy and then look at that particular behavior and also deep dive into that situation of the user experience and then get some good insights. Therefore, according to me, empathy is the beginning and the important step in the whole design thinking process.
And I love what you said about users as makers, because we
Yeah.
sometimes come in as developers thinking that we are the makers, we
Yeah.
are the ones that are
Yeah.
making things, but that flavor of empathy. So as a final way of concluding our conversation, perhaps I'd like each of you to express a wish for this evening's event. And I'm not going to call on you individually. I'll just let anybody jump in if they're inspired to say something.
So, of course, I wish that a lot of people will show up and that it's going to be a very fruitful night. And for me personally, I always learn a lot from other people that join the conversation. So that's what I'm most looking forward to and wishing for.
Thank you, Hester.
Yeah, I think.
And I wish, the main thing that I wish for is that we're able to create a safe environment for people who come tonight. Because to me, that has been the most fruitful part of the workshop in the Las Vegas one. Hopefully the same will happen tonight.
Lovely.
I wish we get a lot of good ideas out of this workshop because we are taking the Open Ideas Design Challenge. I wish we could contribute back to that community.
Lovely. And I wish that we have a multi-generational, multicultural, multi-gendered attendance. And thank you all. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Yeah, I'm really excited about your doing this thing tonight.
Yeah.